I will tell you, one of the reasons I moved out of New York was insurance.
Yes, of course.
I wanted to provide top-notch employee insurance. I covered all costs, everything, not a dime. I got to be the last employer in the state before they said, we can't offer anything like this. The federal government was going to come after us. The state didn't want it. What are you doing?
How dare you?
All of the people that worked for me loved it.
Of course they did.
You come down to Texas, I'm still a fish, out of water on insurance. Texas is better. But New York, how are you going to fix insurance in New York?
Insurance board goes away. It's a board. The thing that New York does very well also, lots of things we do well. They're bad, but they're well, is we create boards and committees and commissions. If you've paid attention to New York State politics, we've had a bunch of people go to jail recently for corruption. All of them are either on a board or a committee or an authority. Here's how it works. His Majesty doesn't want to actually get his hands dirty. So he creates boards and committees, and then he places people on those boards and committees. Those people have given him money. $800,000 he received from those people already. So he puts them on boards.
Jeez.
And that's legal. He can do that. And he says it's for being fair. What actually happens is these boards are unaccountable. They're only accountable to him only. So here's what happened. And you ask any New Yorker who's cared about the community. You go to the board and you complain. I don't like this. I don't like that. I don't like this. And they nod their heads politely and ignore you. Because you don't matter. What matters is His Majesty. I need to enforce the King's will. You're in the way. These eminent domain, like always, stopping people, stopping licenses, removing licenses, totally fine. Do whatever they want. That's what happens in our state. Those boards have to go away. These aren't laws. It's just boards. The problem is boards are used in my state to reward the party loyal. That's what you do. So no politician wants to get rid of them because how else do you reward the people who've given you so much money without... Otherwise, you can't. You have to give them some kind of monopoly so they can use their power to hurt people. Otherwise, why would they give you any money? Well, guess what? I don't have a career to protect. I don't have cronies. So I don't care about these boards. They can all go away as far as I'm concerned. Every one of them, as far as I'm concerned, can just go away. Gone. I don't care. What are you going to do? I have an idea. Bring it to a local level. How about that? How about, and I say local for a very important reason. The reason why I want small business, the reason why I want local. If I bribe a big business to come into your town, that big business brings their own people, their own ideas, their own everything, doesn't care about the culture, doesn't care about the history, doesn't care about the environment, doesn't matter. But if you grew your business locally, you care about your culture, your history, your environment. The odds of you making an error and screwing things up goes down. And if you do, you actually want to clean it up, you care. Not just that, you're going to care what people around you think. Why? They're your peer group. You grew up with them. You know who they are. Your kids go to school with them. You care. So the odds of you doing better are higher. Don't get me wrong, there are bad people everywhere.
Sure.
But the odds go up if it's local. But not just that. If you want a resilient economy, it's not one big business walks in the door. It's lots and lots of small businesses that are all growing locally. This is what we do to have a resilient economy. New York does not have that. New York has a situation where, I think it's common throughout other areas also. If you're not in a big city, you're either employed by the one big thing, right? The one prison or the one school, college, or the one big company that's in your town, right? Or you work for a franchise. You work for a Friendly's or a McDonald's or some kind of franchise, right? A Dollar General. You work for that kind of thing. Or you work for the government. You're a teacher, cop, firefighter, something like that. Or you're on the dole. You're somehow on Medicaid, Medicare, something like that, right? Something like that. Or you struggle and you're in the black market. You're selling drugs or doing something illegal. That's not the way to have a resilient economy. And that's what we have now. We have an epidemic of small farmers committing suicide in New York also. They're collapsing. So let me go back to the small business because a key aspect of small business is treating small farmers like small businesses, and we don't. That's a critical aspect. If we do that, the small farmer then has lower insurance costs because it's as a business, not as a farm. It has lower workers' comp, again, as business, not a farm. But on top of that, you add the idea that they're a business so they can have small business loans, which means you can create manufacturing on the actual farm, which is what I want. In New York State right now, we have a great beer business in New York State, craft beers all over New York State. We can copy that in many different ways. our dairy industry. Dairy industry, I think New York State, if not mistaken, is the third largest dairy producer. I think it's California, Wisconsin, New York State, if not mistaken. Right now, how it works is they're basically price takers. If the price for milk is good, they make lots of money. If it's not, they struggle. That's not a good business model. Who's gonna invest in that? No one is. And that's why they can't get loans. Of course not. I wouldn't. Nobody, you wouldn't either. But instead, treat them like small businesses. So what can they do? Now each small farm, craft yogurt, craft ice cream, craft cheeses. How will it work? It's already working in our beer industry. We have a culture of it. People will invest in it. That will begin to happen. Now, when that happens, these guys, if they want to sell locally, again, no federal regulatory bodies. They get big enough, they can sell out wherever they want to sell. All good if they want to.
And you'll cut the regulation for, I mean, I know the Amish in Pennsylvania, were arrested, I think, for their cheese.
Yes, not going to happen in New York State. I'm going to encourage small business like there's no tomorrow, including small farms. The advantage of a small farm thing goes back to our happiness in family, right? If you're a farmer, you tend to have many kids compared to someone in a city, right? So say you have 3 or 4 kids. Most of your kids may not want to work on a farm. So you're going to lose your kids. They're going to go off to the city. They're going to get educated, leave. How about this? You can build a family farm with a business on it. So kid 1 loves to work on the farm. Kid 1 is out there enjoying it, milking the cows and whatever people on farms do. I'm not a farmer. Doing the farm thing. And the other one says, you know what I want to do? I want to be marketing for the cheese. And the other one says, I want to be the operations guy to make the cheese. And now you can keep your kids on your farm too on top of it. This is nothing
Federal regulations, I don't believe, allow you to hire your kids on farms.
Is that true?
Yeah.
Well, that will not exist then in New York State. See, there we go. That won't exist. There we go. So that's my point. I'm trying to make this change where it's much better.